And so now we come to verse 7 and the fourth beast here. And after this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, exceedingly strong. It had huge iron teeth. It was devouring, breaking in pieces and trampling the residue or the remains of what it had killed with its feet. It was different from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. I was considering the horns, and there was another horn, a little one, coming up among them, before whom 3 of the first horns were plucked out by the roots. And there, in this horn, were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking pompous words. So this fourth beast is the Roman Empire, but it's talking about more than just the Roman Empire. Notice Daniel doesn't describe it as one particular animal like he did with the previous empires. He doesn't say it's like a lion, or it's like a bear, it's like a winged leopard. It's indescribable what he sees here. It's not like any animal or any beast he had ever seen before. He says it's dreadful and terrible. It's exceedingly strong. It has huge iron teeth. It was devouring. It was breaking in pieces. It was trampling the remains with its feet. And that, that's describing the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire swept across the ancient world, defeating and destroying, one army after another, until the Roman Empire extended from the Atlantic Ocean and Europe all the way to India. Just an amazing empire, an amazingly efficient army, government. And in history, there really is no empire that compares to the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire existed in one form or another for almost 1,400 years. The United States is 245 years old. The Roman Empire existed for 1,400 years. Now, at the end of verse 7, Daniel sees 10 horns that come out of this fourth beast, which would be the Roman Empire. But he sees 10 horns, and these 10 horns, they would correspond to the 10 toes in Nebuchadnezzar's vision back in chapter 10. Remember the toes that were a mixture of iron and clay that are crushed. And again, in verse 8, it says, I was considering the horns. So he's looking at these horns. And then he sees another horn, a little horn, coming up among the 10 horns, before whom 3 of the first horns were plucked out by the roots. And there in this little horn were eyes like the eyes of a man. So speaking of wisdom there, intelligence, and a mouth speaking pompous words. Now, horns in the Bible represent strength or power. And he's going to tell us the interpretation of these 10 horns and this little horn later on in the chapter. If you look down in verse 24, I'll just give you a little sneak preview here. In verse 24, the 10 horns are 10 kings who shall arise from this kingdom, and another shall rise after them. That would be the little horn. He shall be different from the first ones, and shall subdue 3 of the kings. He shall speak pompous words against the Most High. He shall persecute the saints of the Most High, and shall intend to change times and law. Then the saints shall be given into his hand for a time, and times and half a time. So we're told here, and we'll talk more about that when we get to those verses, but just basically here, the 10 horns represent 10 kingdoms that will arise out of the former Roman Empire. And from those 10 kings will arise this little horn, this leader, who will become the last human leader of mankind, the leader of the last empire. Right? That sounds like a Star Wars movie, the last empire. There's going to be one last human government in the world before Jesus Christ comes back. And this little horn will be the leader of that last government before Christ returns. Now, this little horn, he's known by many names in the Bible, but the most familiar name is the Antichrist. Even though the Antichrist appears, I think, just 5 times in the New Testament. That's the name that most people latch on to and think of when they think of this world leader who's going to come on the scene in the last days. This little horn is that last human leader of mankind, again, popularly known as the Antichrist. The word Antichrist, it means instead of Christ. People are going to look to him, this last leader, to be kind of a savior for the world instead of looking to Jesus Christ. We're told here he comes out of these 10 nations, this 10-nation confederation that comes out of the Roman Empire. Now, historically, there were not 10 nations that came out of the Roman Empire. So what's described here at this point in Daniel 7, it hasn't happened yet. Again, this is like the 10 toes that we talked about in chapter 2. Remember I said, like, we can look at that statue in chapter 2 and see the head, that's Babylon, the chest, that's the Medo-Persians, and we can kind of go down. Remember I said once we got to the ankles, like we're kind of at the ankles of the statue because we don't have the 10 nations yet, the 10 toes. Well, here we don't have these 10 kingdoms yet, these 10 horns. So this is something that's future. Now, this will happen at the end of the age before Christ returns. Now, you might be thinking, well, come on. In the Roman Empire, that ended so long ago. I mean, nobody, no nation feels connected back to the Roman Empire. Well, you know, Adolf Hitler thought that Nazi Germany was a resurrection of the Roman Empire and a revival of the Roman Empire. Winston Churchill, in some of his writings, compared the British Empire to the Roman Empire. So it's not something that is not in people's minds, not in leaders' minds in the world.